Here's exactly why you keep applying to a bunch of jobs and you are not hearing back. So by the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 things that you must do with your resume and 1 thing that you absolutely have to avoid. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Chris. I'm the founder and CEO of Data Engineer Academy, where we've sent out tens of thousands of applications every single month for our clients. So let's jump into it. 3 big to-dos, 1 big don't. Let's start with the to-dos. So you can see here a real resume from John Smith. He is a fake name of a real client, but this is actually a real resume. And so what I wanted to show you was a few things that we did with this resume. And by the way, what's really important to note is that this person went from non-tech to tech. And so we've done this countless amount of times with people from all ranges of experience. But here are the 3 things that this person specifically did that worked really, really well. So number 1, I call it beef up the top section. So here's the little thing, the little nugget that a lot of people don't realize about recruiters is that they very rarely go past the top half of the resume. That's why they always say make the resume 1 page, because they're very rarely going to scroll down to the bottom half. So when we say beef up the top section, we're talking about this, the skills section. So specifically, this is done for 2 reasons. Number 1 is because things like AI are going to look for keywords. And number 2, just like we said, the recruiters aren't going to look past the bottom half. So with this, you'll be able to get past the initial screening of AI by just putting the keywords of the actual tools that you have experience with. Now, that one seems pretty simple. I think most people knew about it. Here's the one little change that you can make that is actually going to make a massive difference in where the recruiter looks. And it's called a title change. And so what I mean by that is when recruiters look at a resume, let's say they're hiring for a data engineer position, right? What they're going to do is they're going to look at your most recent experience. They're going to look at the title of that experience. And if you have something like a data analyst here, then they might not even look at the rest of it. And I know you might be thinking it kind of sounds irresponsible to not look at the rest of the resume, but the reality is that's just how it goes. So in this instance, we did this with a different resume, is that instead of having consulting, because we knew we were applying for a data engineer position, we actually changed the title of that position to what we were going for. So you can actually do this and create multiple resumes. So whenever you hear people saying like, hey, I've personalized a resume, I create a bunch of resumes, what they mean is they might have changed that one specific title. And it actually makes a huge difference. Now, the third thing that you really should do is a concept that I like to call congruency. So let me give you an example. Do you see here in the bullet points where the person used AWS Kinesis, and they also had the tool, the Kinesis tool, in the skill section? You know what's funny, looking at this now, I'm not even sure this person had Kinesis in there, which was a mistake. But that is one thing that you can do, is you can take this AWS, you can expand it to all the AWS sections or all the AWS tools, and then you can actually have them inside of your bullet points. So what a lot of people do wrong is they have, let's say, AWS in the skill section, but then they don't include it in the bullet points, right? So this actually represents a lack of congruency. And to the recruiter, this is a massive red flag, because it mentions, it tells the recruiter, hey, this person might have done a course or a certificate or something on this AWS tool, but they didn't actually work on that AWS tool in their previous project. And so you might not actually get the brownie points that you're hoping for, especially if they have some of these tools in the job description. So those are the 3 massive levers we've seen. And just to do a quick little recap, number 1, beef up the section. Number 2, we talked about the title change. And then number 3, we talked about having congruency. Now, what is the biggest do not do? Well, the biggest don't is actually one that I see 80% of clients do. You'd be shocked. And it's called not showing off the latest experience. And so what this means is, if you look at this resume, you can see that the last experience that this person had, they worked there for 3 years. That has a lot more bullet points than the previous year. And this is for 2 reasons. Number 1, well, this person might have worked there a little longer. But number 2, and most importantly, remember what I said in the beginning of this video, that recruiters don't look at the bottom half? Well, the truth is, if they do go a little bit lower, it's typically going to be because this section is still their most recent experience. And that's what they're looking for. I can't tell you how many times people have a short section up top, a very long section up here, right? If this is the resume, and you can say these are the skills right here, right? But what is so weird is that this has like 5 years of experience and this has like 2. And I'm just like, this has to be the opposite, because what happens here is that the recruiter starts to wonder, were they just goofing off the last 5 years? Were they at a company where they can rest and vest, right? Where it's basically, you just stay there to collect the equity and not really work hard. And so this is actually a massive red flag. So do not do this. Make sure this section is a lot bigger and make sure it actually has all the tools in this part along with a very good title, and you should be good.